Welcome to Pep Talk and Pickleball, the podcast where we explore empty nest life, health, fitness, and nutrition, all with a side of pickleball fun. I'm your host, Jill Lewis, your guide through this exciting phase of life. As a certified faster way to fat loss coach and fellow empty nester, I'm here to share insights, interview experts, and yes, sprinkle in some pickleball talk. Join me for weekly doses of motivation and laughter as we navigate health, happiness, and pickleball passion. Grab your paddle, join the conversation, and let's dive into Pep Talk and Pickleball. 10,000 steps a day, essential or is it overkill? This is the great debate about, is 10,000 steps the new normal? Welcome to Pep Talk and Pickleball. I'm your host, Jill Lewis, and this week we are talking about that number that we keep hearing about, 10,000 steps, 10,000 steps. And I got to tell you, I'm definitely one of the people on social media advocating for 10,000 steps a day. And I thought it would be really interesting to discuss this today. And I wanted to do a little bit of research to find out, like, where did this number come from? Is it extreme or is this what we need? So I thought I'm just going to share kind of my personal philosophy and then talk to you about the research I've found, and then obviously ways that I hope that you can incorporate getting some steps into your day. But I wanted to share this with you because for sure, I am all about getting a lot of movement in. I've talked about this before. I wear an Aura ring. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I have this Aura ring. This is how I track my steps. It's like a little computer inside of the ring. I wear it on my index finger. That tracks my sleep. It tracks my steps and many other things. But I am pretty obsessed about making sure that I'm getting enough movement throughout the day. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see over my shoulder back there, I have a walking pad and a stand-up desk that I recently purchased on Amazon. I'll be sure to link that in the show notes for you. And I have to say, I love it because there's a lot of times that I have trainings that I need to watch or meetings that I need to attend via Zoom. And I personally just don't like sitting here while I'm doing that. I thought, well, gosh, if I could be standing and moving, wouldn't that be so much better? So many other faster weight coaches have had these. I'm certainly not the first one to get this. I'm probably a little late to the game, but I'm really glad that I did. It's honestly not that expensive. It only cost about $150. That's something else I've done. But I get really crabby if my step count is low. And I mean, if I'm traveling, for instance, tomorrow, I have a flight that's going to be a long flight tomorrow, and I will get up early tomorrow and make sure that I get a lot of steps in before I even head to the airport, because I want to make sure that I'm getting that movement in. Is it essential or is it overkill? So that's kind of what I want to dive in today. For me personally, mentally, I feel so much better. I really do enjoy being outside. I'm not a person that wants to just go to the gym and hop on a treadmill. I really do enjoy walking outside, whether it's on a safe road or sidewalk or any type of walking path or hiking path. I have a chocolate lab that I do love to walk her as well. And for me, hitting 10,000 steps a day does take intention, but I also love the goal. And I feel like it's really helpful. It's just a gentle way of keeping myself active. But I have to say, the other way I get steps in is pickleball. So anyway, okay, let's get on to this episode. So, you think about our modern society, and it's like we hear all the time, like, we're kind of lazy, but we're also really busy. So is aiming for 10,000 steps even logical? First of all, let's just talk about that goal, that history of the 10,000 steps goal. Where did this come from? What does the research show? Well, this was actually a marketing strategy from a Japanese pedometer company, or a company that made a pedometer. So something that tracked steps back in the 1960s. So the 10,000 steps recommendation traces its origins to Japan in the 60s, a period marked by increasing awareness of the importance of physical activity for health. So Manpo Kai, I believe is how you say it, or K, Manpo K pedometer. It's a Japanese company, Yamasa Clock, that introduced one of the first commercial pedometers called the Manpo K, and which translates to 10,000 steps meter. So the device was marketed with the slogan, "Let's walk 10,000 steps a day." This figure of 10,000 steps was not derived from rigorous scientific research like I thought, but rather chosen because it was a round, memorable number that aligned well with the company's marketing strategy. Because the characters, so those Japanese characters, 10,000, and the word steps in Japanese characters created a catchy phrase that really resonated with the public. So, really good intentions behind it by getting people to move more, but not necessarily based on science. Okay. Now, we do have science to tell us that there are numerous health benefits from walking, right? From getting steps in. The general benefits is just this: walking is one of the most accessible forms of exercise. It provides numerous health benefits, including improved cardiovascular health, better weight management, enhanced mood, and reduced risk of chronic diseases. I mean, I'm all for all of those things, as I'm sure you are. Also, studies have shown that incremental improvements go a long way. So, increasing daily step count from a very low number to a moderately higher one can significantly improve your health. This is good news for those of you out there that are thinking 10,000 steps a day seems insane. There's no way I'm going to be able to do it, so I'm not even going to try. So I want you to hear me loud and clear. Moving from 2,000 steps a day to just 5,000 steps a day really can lead to noticeable health benefits. Okay. So research on step targets. Let's talk about this. While 10,000 steps, it's super popular. I'm in it. I talk about it all the time. The study suggests that benefits can be achieved, like I just mentioned, with fewer steps. So, a study that was published in the JAMA Internal Medicine in 2019 found that older women that were walking 4,400 steps a day, they had significantly lower mortality rates compared to those other women that were getting less than 2,700 steps a day. Now, the mortality benefits increased with more steps. So up to about 7,500 steps per day, after which the benefits seem to plateau. This was in this study that I just mentioned. For sure, intensity and duration are going to make a difference. Research indicates that the intensity and the duration of walking can influence health outcomes. Moderate to vigorous walking may provide more substantial health benefits compared to light intensity walking, regardless of the step count. I think that's really important to note. Are we talking about a stroll? Are we talking about a power walk? Those obviously are going to make a difference. For me, I have a really hard time strolling. If I go anywhere with my husband, we're definitely walking fast. He's a fast walker. He's got really long legs. For my height, I'm 5'6". I'm all leg. I've joked about this before with you. I mean, my torso is nothing. I think I have like an inch between the bottom of my boob and my waistline, like my belly button. It's like that much. I have like no space there. So I'm all legs for sure. My husband has got, he's 6'3", he's got long legs. He just naturally walks fast. I naturally walk fast. And that's just how we are. So I do think if you're more of as my parents would say, a lollygagger, if you're a lollygagger, you may not be getting the more health benefits than, say, if you are more in a walking with purpose, shall we say. Okay, so let's think about practical considerations. The 10,000 steps goal is really daunting for a lot of you. I totally get it. If you have a busy lifestyle, if you have health conditions, or just a lower fitness level, that's tough. It's tough to start something new and tough to set such an extreme goal if you haven't been doing it. So setting personalized and achievable goals is really crucial for long-term adherence to physical activity. We'll get more into that later. Factors such as age and your fitness level and just your baseline activity level is going to play a significant role in determining what your appropriate step count is. Okay. So for some, 10,000 steps is an appropriate target. For me, I feel like that's a minimum for me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like for me and my fitness level, 10,000 steps is something that I should be able to do routinely, and that's an appropriate target. But for you, a lower number might be more realistic and it might be just as beneficial. So that's really important. And that should be encouraging for those of you that are listening, that it's just all feels too daunting. So while 10,000 steps, it's a useful benchmark. It's a great motivational tool. It's not a one-size-fits-all target. The key takeaway is just that increasing your daily physical activity to any level above what you've been doing, your baseline, can really lead to significant health improvements. Okay. The health benefits we kind of casually touched on: the cardiovascular health, your heart health. Regular physical activity is going to strengthen that heart muscle. It's going to improve your blood circulation. It's going to help maintain healthy blood pressure levels. I don't know about you. I don't want to be taking a bunch of medication. I don't want my blood pressure to be messed up. Walking is like one of the most simple things you can do to maintain healthy blood pressure levels. I talk about my mom all the time on this podcast, but she's 87 and she really has amazing goal for herself to walk and stretch every day. Make sure that she can get up off the floor every day by herself. These are just things that should be routine, not extreme. Okay. So if you know somebody that is 87 in your life, or you can imagine what you want to be when you're 87. Do you want to be homebound? Do you want to be in a nursing home? Do you want to be independent? Of course you do. Nobody wants to be dependent on other people. Nobody wants to need help going to the bathroom. Nobody wants help getting into a shower when you're completely naked. Nobody wants to not be able to do those things. And I know for sure, I think about my mom and I'm like, that is, as she ages, just that continuing to stay flexible, working on balance, walking every day that she can, and making sure, like, just getting up and down off the floor. I always tell her, another good thing just to practice is just getting up and down off the couch a few times a day. It's like doing a little box squat. But anyway, it also, walking is going to lower your risk of developing heart disease, stroke, and other cardiovascular conditions by improving your cholesterol levels and reducing that arterial plaque buildup. A lot of times we hear about this with men and their cholesterol, but it's just as important with women. Heart disease certainly affects women just as much, and we need to be thinking about this. If you're like my age and you're 50, it's hard to relate to that sometimes. But I'm just telling you, the things that you're doing now in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, you are going to be so pleased with yourself when you're in your 70s and your 80s and, God willing, your 90s. It also helps with weight management, calorie burning. I definitely don't think exercise is just done to burn calories. For me, exercise is all about longevity. It's all about aesthetics. It's all about independence and building strength and keeping your metabolism healthy. But there's no denying it, that physical activity helps burn calories, which can aid in fat loss or maintenance. So consistent exercise increases, your metabolic rate, and it promotes the reduction of body fat. Who doesn't want that? And let me tell you, I know that, and I never body shame anyone. That's not anything about who I am, but I refuse in this day and age to accept. Body positivity is a wonderful thing. And I'm glad that our society is better with that than it was certainly when I was younger. However, we cannot deny that somebody that is obese is healthy. It's just not. Okay. It's just not. And even though it might not be affecting you in your 40s and 50s, it's going to hurt you as you age. Okay. So let's talk about muscle mass. Exercise, particularly strength training, this, I talk about it all the time. It helps build and maintain muscle mass, which is crucial for healthy metabolism and overall body composition. Now we're talking about walking, but these are two things that I pair together. If I had to say, like, what are the two things that I'm doing the most? It's strength training and it's walking. Something else that I've even heard about, as far as, working on your muscles and while walking, is wearing a weighted vest. Have you heard of these? And you can find these on Amazon. I have not purchased one. I'm considering purchasing a 12-pound weighted vest. I don't think I'd want to go heavier than that because I feel like that would be really uncomfortable. So I don't know. I'm going to look up and see how much they are. If I get it, I will definitely follow up with you and let you know. But there's been studies out there about weighted vests that show how wonderful those are too. Kind of reminds me, like, do you remember in the 80s, like the ankle weights which those have come back. I remember during the lockdowns with COVID that everyone was doing a lot of the bar and Pilates and had the weights on the wrists and the ankles. But I'm talking like the old school ones, like not the really cute ones, the aesthetically pleasing ones now with the really nice colors. I'm talking about like it's like a little sandbag around that you would strap around your ankle, and women that would go walking, like power walking with like little dumbbells. Anyway, side note, made me laugh. Okay, let's talk about this. Your mental well-being cannot be denied. If you're in a bad mood, get outside and walk. Physical activity releases endorphins, often referred to as the feel-good hormones, which can improve your mood, and it reduces symptoms of depression and anxiety. All right. So obviously, like, there's so many people struggling with anxiety and depression. Physical activity has got to be a part of your day. Before I think you do anything else, you need to ask yourself, if you experience those types of things, it's like, what am I putting into my body? And how much am I moving my body? And what is my sleep like? Those would be the top 3 things that I would talk to my doctor about, or hopefully your doctor is asking you first and foremost before you do anything else. But I do think it's really important to recognize that anxiety and depression can be helped a lot. I'm not saying it's going to be solved at all, but it's definitely going to improve your mood and reduce those symptoms if you can get out and regularly move your body. It's going to reduce stress. Exercise reduces levels of the body's stress hormone like adrenaline and cortisol. It also promotes relaxation and better sleep, which can enhance overall mental well-being. I mean, walking combined with weight training, it's just a 1-2 punch. It's not going to like get your cortisol out of whack, which is all I keep hearing about on social media. Don't even get me started on that. I'm going to get off on a tangent if that's okay. Sometimes good intentions go awry in this industry that I'm in. It's like it's this new shiny thing that influencers on social media, trainers, whatever, and they get hyper fixated on. And right now it feels like it's cortisol. And I'm not saying that it's not something to pay attention to, but I don't think it's as dramatic as people are making it out to be. Like these cortisol cocktails, drinking cherry juice before you go to bed at night. And I'm like, no, that's like pure sugar. Like, what are we talking about? I think there's other ways. I really do. Like, take some magnesium. Anyway, I do think that walking, strength training, it's not going to make your cortisol spike, chronically spike. Those are excellent. Like I said, it's a 1-2 punch when it comes to working out. Let's talk about this. This is cognitive function. It's really interesting how regular physical activity has been shown to improve brain function. It enhances your memory and reduces the risk of cognitive decline. That in itself is incredible. I mean, I don't think any of us are looking to, develop dementia or get Alzheimer's, right? So it's just yet another reason to get out and move your body more. And then, of course, arthritis. I know a lot of people struggle with this, but anyone with any age with arthritis, walking is really good medicine. It strengthens muscles. It helps shift pressure from joints and it reduces pain. And like a regular walking routine compresses and releases the cartilage in your knees, which is going to help circulate the synovial fluid that brings oxygen and it nourishes your joints. So a lot of times, when you're in pain, you don't want to move. It's uncomfortable. But my good friend and coach, Renee Charles, always says, motion is lotion. And hopefully your doctor's telling you that too. Motion is lotion. So moving, when we stop moving, man, things go haywire. Okay. But by incorporating the regular physical activity, you are going to significantly enhance all those things that I just mentioned. Plus, like I said, managing your weight more effectively, you're boosting your mental well-being, just leads to a higher quality of life. So 10,000 steps. It's a general guideline, but any increase in activity, again, can be beneficial. The biggest issue that I see with, my clients and the women that I have worked with, it's just that all or nothing mentality, where it's either like you are in, all in. I had a step challenge recently for my clients, my VIP clients, my monthly clients. That was back in April. And hopefully my goal by doing that for 30 days was that we're establishing habits of like, that's like a new normal for them to hit whatever their goal was. If it was 8, 9, 10,000 plus, whatever, that's their goal. And they're going to continue on with it. I never want to do something that's like, you're just going to do it for a little bit and then you fall off the wagon, you know? So the all or nothing mentality really makes me nervous because it's just not a way to live. If you're either all in on your diet or exercise, or you get burned out, like you're going so hard and then you get burned out and then you'll go months without doing anything. So I just want you to remember that something is always better than nothing. So on the days that work was crazy, had to run the kids everywhere, blah, 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 that doesn't mean that you just give up on it. That means in the next day, you're going to try it again. You can't give up on yourself, and you've got to remember that progress over perfection mantra isn't cheesy. It's called sustainable real life. And so if you're just always all in or all out, I don't know what to tell you. It's just not a great way to live, and you're not going to get the progress that you want or the health benefits. So what is the deal? Like, why, when I talk about 10,000 steps and it seems so extreme now, when you look back, 50 years, no one was really tracking their steps probably, but guarantee you they were getting the steps in. So what's the deal? Like, how come you think past versus present? Like, why were past generations, not going, they didn't have gyms like we do. There was not this billions of dollars being spent on the studios and the gyms and all the fitness and nutrition industry, right? Well, they just had a higher level of physical activity. Think about past generations. A daily life just included more physical labor and activity. People were either walking or maybe they even biked for their transportation. They engaged in manual labor. They did household chores. They participated in more outdoor recreational activities. Think about this, like everything from washing your own car to changing your own oil of your car. Like neither one of those activities I do anymore. I don't know when the last time I washed my car. That's sad, right? I remember in high school, my dad taught me how to like check my oil. I think that's the last time I did it. There's so many activities that we don't do anymore ourselves. And that's just added, that added steps, added activity. It really was just a natural part of the daily routines from people in the past. And, they didn't rely so much on those conveniences that we have, like cars and elevators and electronic devices. But for sure, today people are generally more sedentary. The jobs and lifestyles involve prolonged sitting and less physical exertion. The rise of technology, that has led to increased sedentary behavior, people spending more time on their computers and their smartphones, work environments, a lot of prolonged sitting at a desk that just contributes to decreased physical activity. And then, of course, the urbanization that has led to more reliance on motorized transportation. It's going to reduce the opportunities for walking and biking. The suburban sprawl, right? The long commutes, that contributes to it as well. Now, if you're living in a city, that is a nice thing if you can walk to work and all of that. But like where I live out in I live in the country. I mean, it's not ideal walking conditions, and I'm certainly not able to walk to any stores. But gosh, the screen time and entertainment, the proliferation of screen-based entertainment is out of control. It started with TV, then it went to video games, and now we have streaming services, and it's just reduced our time spent on physical activities. I was looking up statistics to see, so what is the average step count? And this, I thought, this seems higher than I would have thought. So I don't know. But in the US, data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey indicated that adults on average take about 5,117 steps per day. That was in the US. And then a study published in the Journal Medicine of Science in Sports and Exercise found that American adults take an average step count of 4,774. So those are pretty similar numbers. In Canada, the Canadian Health Measures Survey reports that adults take an average of approximately 7,500 steps per day. So quite a bit more steps getting from the folks in Canada. Of course, this varies by age. Older adults tend to take fewer steps compared to the younger age groups. For example, adults age 60 and older may take an average of 4,000 to 6,000 per day. Adolescents and young adults typically going to get more in, right? Ranging from 7,000 to 10,000 steps or more. A sedentary lifestyle, which is characterized by just prolonged, periods of sitting, low levels of physical activity. As we've mentioned, it's just all negative there. They've been saying like sitting is the new smoking because prolonged sitting has been linked to an increased risk of chronic health conditions such as obesity, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. So when that body remains seated, you've got a decreased blood flow, decreased metabolism. It leads to poor circulation, insulin resistance, and elevated levels of cholesterol and triglycerides. So over time, these metabolic changes are going to contribute to weight gain, insulin dysfunction, and a higher likelihood of developing chronic diseases. Secondly, a sedentary lifestyle is associated with musculoskeletal issues and decreased mobility. Spending prolonged hours sitting, particularly in poor ergonomic positions, really do lead to muscle imbalances, stiffness, discomfort in your neck and your back and your shoulders and your hips. Oh my gosh, my hips. Do y'all have tight hips? Sitting is like the worst for that, I always say if you've got like happy hips, you'll have a happy back. And my hips are not happy right now. But lack of movement is going to weaken the muscles. It's going to reduce your joint flexibility. So that is just all going to increase your risk of injury, impairing overall physical function. It's going to exacerbate existing musculoskeletal conditions such as osteoarthritis, back pain. It's just going to compromise mobility and quality of life that I talked about earlier, that independence especially. Lastly, sedentary behavior negatively impacts your mental well-being, and physical activity is closely linked to that release of endorphins, the neurotransmitters that promote the feelings of happiness and relaxation and stress release. So, we want to get those mood-boosting chemicals that are produced by exercise. This one's interesting too. Sedentary behavior is often associated with social isolation and reduced engagement in meaningful activities. So that is going to contribute to feelings of loneliness, low self-esteem, and poor mental health outcomes. I mean, immediately my mind goes to pickleball. I mean, it always does, right? But I think about that's why that sport I think is so popular because people after the pandemic freaking lonely and it's such an inclusive sport and it's just a great way to meet people and it's like two birds one stone. You are getting out there, you're mobile, you're active, you're getting steps in, but you're also in a very social fun environment. The 10,000 steps a day, I get that it's extreme because you've got daily demands on your life that are legit. I understand it. Modern responsibilities and time constraints make it challenging to reach 10,000 steps. And I just think like to highlight the balance that women especially often have to maintain between work and home and personal care is a real thing. So if you're still working, you're taking care of your parents, you've got grandkids, like there's a lot happening. It's tough, right? So I know you're not using those things, your job, your church involvement, your family, all of those things that you have to do, the obligations in your life. I know you're not using that as an excuse because those are legit. But we're going to talk later about how can we start to increase our activity in our life and make it a part of our routine where it doesn't feel like a chore, because that's what I think. I think this 10,000 number is really feeling like a chore and it's making you feel maybe perhaps, I don't know, like you're just like you're failing, and I don't want you to feel that way because I want you to feel really proud of yourself that you do care so much, that you do care about your job, that your career, and you do care about your family, and you do care about your parents, and you do care about your household. And there's so many things to care about, but you got to care about yourself. We're not good to anybody else if we aren't taking care of ourselves first. So I guess that's why I bring all of that up. Not to mention, so you've got all that going on. And you know what I said? I don't like walking inside. I like to be outside. Well, you've got environmental issues for one, dependent on the weather where you are. And then are you in a safe environment? That's another thing with women we got to think about. I think about my daughter. Like, I live out in the country. I'm okay to walk. We do have some people that moved in that have some dogs that are big that they've been letting out and not keeping them leashed up or in a fence, which is kind of ticking me off because I don't want, and now I'm having to walk a different direction. Um, so I kind of need to address that with them. That'll be fun. But for my daughter, that's a little more dangerous to me. I'm a little more sensitive about her, and we live on a very, country road, kind of isolated. So you just worry about her walking, her safety. And now she's in a city for the summer. And she was like, oh, I'm so excited. There's amazing walking paths. And I'm like, not by yourself, What are you talking about? Like, you can't go walking by yourself everywhere. So, that's definitely an issue maybe for you too, like where you're living. Do you have a safe place to walk? So anyway, there's always something we got to be thinking about, right? Let's talk a little bit about what else what metrics are you tracking with your physical health, your mental health throughout the day? Well, one I think is really important to pay attention to, and nobody thinks about this when they come to me to work with me to lose fat, is sleep. And sleep is so critical. So what can you do in your life? I've done a whole podcast on sleeping better, but to really make sure that you are getting the proper rest that you need. Okay. So that's one. So I would, like, say, for instance, you can't even work on thinking I'm going to get more steps in, but I bet you could think to yourself, how can I start getting more sleep? Could I go to bed 15 minutes earlier? Just start small, little incremental changes there, making sure that you are ideally getting a minimum of 7 hours of sleep a night. That's not just an arbitrary number. Okay. So think about those metrics. Another metric that I really like, that I look at all this stuff as biofeedback. I'm a very data-driven type of gal, if you can't tell. And I think data is important because then that's how we know. That's information. Like, that's all data is. It's information. And the more information we have on you and your lifestyle, your activities, things like that, then the better we know, like, okay, well, then this is how much you need to be eating, and this is how much, X, Y, and Z. All right. So let's talk about this metric of inactivity. So my Aura Ring actually tracks inactivity. That's going to let me know, am I sitting too much? And it really lets me know. So if I pull up my phone and I pull up this app, and by the way, this is not an ad for the Aura Ring at all. I recommend it? Yes, but I hate that how pricey it is. So I understand that it's very pricey. And I also don't love their customer service is okay. It's just, I think what needs to happen is that we need to have more competition, So I hear Apple's coming out with one maybe later this year. I'm really anxious to see that. And I think, let's see here, maybe Samsung is going to be coming out with one as well. And there's other companies that are just, kind of knockoff companies from the Aura Ring. So, but if you have like an Apple Watch or a Garmin or something like that, I think those are all great as well. Any way that you want to track, even just on your iPhone, I think if you have your phone with you, it tracks your steps. Okay, so I'm looking when I go to my activity, and so far today, okay, now today, I have not walked my dog. I have not played pickleball, but I did do a HIIT workout, and oh my goodness, I'm low, y'all. So I have got my step count is at 4,131. So when we get off this, you know what I'm getting ready to go do. I'm going to be walking. And my inactivity hours are 6 hours and 3 minutes of inactivity today. That is going to be a tough one for me to stay because I like to keep my inactivity under 8 hours. So today, not my best day, but I had a lot of meetings today. I have been doing a lot of work. So anyway, it's interesting when you can look up those metrics. I'd like to see that, but I think inactivity is something that's interesting. Just in your mind, if you don't have a fancy tracking device, it's okay, but just pay attention. How many hours did you sit? There's a new study out that I need to do research on. Talks about every day, if you're at a job that you're sitting, stand up and do 10 air squats every hour, like on the hour, just set an alarm and stand up, do 10 just body weight squats right there at your desk and then sit back down. But let's start thinking like, how can you get more steps in? First of all, it's a habit that you just have to work on. Habits are something that's so second nature, you don't have to think about it, like brushing your teeth, maybe making coffee when you wake up in the morning. That's a habit. There's certain things like there's these habits in your life you don't even think about. That's what we have to get with all of these things if you're trying to improve your health. Like we're specifically talking about getting more steps in. So you want walking to be second nature. You've got to stop viewing it as extreme because we're now letting go of that 10,000 count. So if you're somebody that's averaging, say, 2,000 to 4,000 steps, you're going to try to get 2,000 more steps a day. So let's take the pressure of the 10K out of our minds, but we're going to start small and move up incrementally as best we can. So we're going to make it second nature, but we got it. In order for walking to be second nature, it has to be a habit. So here's some hopefully helpful tips for you. Be specific. Decide what you're going to do. Are you going to walk around the neighborhood for 30 minutes after work? This time of the year, sun's out, shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Maybe it is your child has practice every day, has a piano lesson at 5:30 every day. Could you drop them off and go walk for 30 minutes while they're in a lesson or while they're at softball or while they're whatever it is? Okay. While they're at practice, while they're at a game, whatever. Can you walk around the ballpark a couple of times? So be specific. Decide what's the time increment and how are you going to do it? That might vary day to day, but you got to be specific. You can't just say like, I'm going to walk more. You got to have a specific plan. Make it easy. Choose a movement you enjoy and that you can repeat easily. For me, it's pickleball. I know I play it like so often that is a super easy way for me to get 5,000 steps in, like done. And it's so fun. I don't even think about it. But for you, maybe it's yard work. Maybe it's playing golf. Maybe you play tennis. Maybe, I don't know, you're playing in the yard with your kids or your grandkids. So think about making it easy by doing activities you really like. Make it satisfying. Use technology like I do to track it. I'm a nerd. I like that. But you can also use technology like listening to playlists, like music playlists, or listening to an audiobook, or hopefully maybe you're listening to this while you're walking. Oh, that would be fun. Anyway, but that's what I do when I walk my dog. I listen to podcasts or audiobooks. Like I said, if you have a favorite playlist, but I've been trying to do a little habit stacking. There's a book by James Clear I love. It's all about habit stacking, where I walk, that's a habit, and I'm listening to a podcast, a daily podcast episode from the year Bible in a Year podcast. So again, there's that two birds, one stone. I'm walking and I'm listening to the Bible in a Year podcast. It's like 20 minutes. It's perfect. Reward yourself. Okay. So set a little goal for yourself this week. And then, I don't know, you're going to treat yourself to something. Then you are going to, another great idea is to establish a routine. So once you've been specific, establish that routine. Routines become habits over time, and then they're less likely to be forgotten. Same time every time. Maybe it's after dinner. Maybe it's on your lunch break. Maybe it's early in the morning. What works best for you? There's no one size fits all, right? But what works best for you? Set realistic goals. Habits are a journey. So you got to be realistic, but you want to be consistent. Choose a cue. Pick a reminder to help you remember to walk. What is that reminder? Is it an alert in your phone? Is it a note on your refrigerator? Is it talking to your family about it? Get a buddy. Going on walks with a friend makes time pass so fast, and you will literally solve all the problems of the world. And then, take care of your body. In addition to walking, prioritize other aspects of your health. I mean, you guys, if you are hydrated and you are rested and you are eating better foods, this is like a no-brainer. Once you start walking and you're going to immediately, or once you start doing the other things, these are all going to have a ripple effect in your life. Trust me. Okay. So Again, tips to gradually increase physical activity, make it sustainable is, again, you're going to start small, set realistic goals. Okay. So if that, like I said earlier, if that 30 minutes of walking is not realistic for you, go with 10 minutes, because what did I say earlier? Something's always better than nothing, right? Don't roll your eyes and think 10 minutes isn't anything. It's kind of like thinking to yourself that 10 air squats every hour on the hour at work won't do anything. Well, there's studies that show it actually does. So everything counts. Something's always better than nothing. So begin with a manageable goal that fits into your current fitness level and to your crazy schedule. All right. Gradually increase the duration and intensity. So 10 minutes, fine. Let's go, girl. Like 10 minutes, let's go. Make it intentional, put those AirPods in and make it count. Incorporate movement just into normal daily routines. Look for opportunities. When you start looking for opportunities for more movement through the day, like taking the stairs, parking further away from your destination, doing household chores like watering your flowers, gardening, cleaning, vacuuming, all that stuff adds up. Break up those long periods of sitting, like I said, with the air squats, little short bursts of activities, stretching, just walking around the floor, of your room every hour. Little things like that are going to add up. I know they sound silly, but they are going to add up. Plus, you are going to spark conversation with all the people that you work with. Find activities you enjoy. Hello, pickleball, but it could be cycling, it could be dancing, it could be swimming, it could be playing any type of sport, and just experiment with different types of exercise. What suits your interest and fits into your lifestyle? If you're an empty nester, this is like the golden time. This is all about you. Even if you have parents that you got to take care of and you have grandkids, I'm telling you, it's still your time. Okay. So try to figure that out. What are the things that you love? You are important. Of course, those other loved ones are important too, but you're not good to anybody if you're not taking care of you. I think a really easy one is just to involve your family members or your friends. Find some workout buddies, make exercise a social thing for you if that's what it takes. For me, like when I work out with weights, I want to be dialed in. I've got my AirPods in, I am dialed in. I really don't want to necessarily do that with a group. If I'm walking, oh, that's fun. Now, that is something that I can do with other people, and I absolutely love it, and it makes me want to do it more. And just to kind of touch on what I mentioned earlier, the all or nothing mentality, I really want you to make this a lifestyle change, not a quick fix. This isn't a quick fix to 10,000 steps. Okay. So, what I hope that you have heard today from me talking about this is just that you are now you don't feel so much pressure that if you don't hit 10,000 steps a day that you're failing, right? That all you're trying to do is do better incrementally. So if you're kind of paying attention to how many steps you're getting in, if you've got a way to track it, great. If you don't, just think about your day and be honest with yourself on how much you're moving and just start moving more. Shift your mindset from viewing exercise as a temporary solution to embracing it as a long-term lifestyle change. That's truly the magic, is when we make it a lifestyle, not a quick fix. Focus on building these sustainable habits that promote overall health and well-being rather than just solely focusing on a short-term fitness goal. By implementing these tips, you're going to slowly, gradually increase your physical activity levels. You're going to establish sustainable exercise routines that will enhance your health and your quality of life over time. I'm not just a fitness coach, I'm a nutrition and fitness coach. So, of course, I'm going to encourage you to combine and create a balanced routine. You are getting more steps in and you are eating more whole foods. You're making protein and fiber a priority in your life, and you're staying hydrated and well rested. Consistency and making sustainable life changes is absolutely doable if we do it bit by bit, right? If I can leave you with one last tip, is I want you to think about your weeks as 7 days, not 5 weekdays and 2 days on the weekend. I want you to treat them all the same when it comes to movement. In the faster way, it's a real strategic reason that we have leg day, our leg strength workout on a Saturday. It keeps us mindful. It keeps us in the game. We don't go off the rails. We are feeling really good on Saturdays because we got probably the most significant workout of the week we're doing it on the weekend. When we are super restrictive and we're exercising like maniacs, and then like we just let it all fall apart on the weekends, it's honestly it's not the way to go. You're not helping yourself by doing that. Let's try to treat every day the same when it comes to how much we're moving and how well we're eating. Of course, we're going to have those fun celebrations every now and then, but we don't want every weekend to just completely slide off the rails. Well, I would love to hear from you. If you follow me on Instagram at Jill B. Lewis, reach me a message and let me know all about your step count. I have an Empty Nest Fitness Club there on my Instagram account that I would love for you to join. And I'm always asking questions and giving my tidbits of fitness for the empty nesters on there. And of course, I will link in the show notes when my next 6-week round of the Faster Way to Fat Loss will be. I would love to have you join me, where we can incorporate the strength training, the walking, and of course, the important nutrition as well. If you're an empty nester, I want you to know that it's not too late and you are not too old to feel the energy and to lose the belly fat. No matter how stubborn you think that belly fat is, it's possible to still feel your best in this fun stage of life. So thank you so much for listening. I hope it was helpful, and I got to go get walking. Ladies, protein deficiency is a huge problem, but it doesn't have to be. 1 in 3 adults don't consume enough protein, and it's no surprise when you understand how much you actually need in a single day. If you want to build muscle, lose fat, keep your immune system strong, and have all-day energy, then you should be eating at least 0.75 grams per pound of body weight. So, for example, if you weigh 150 pounds, that means you need almost 115 grams of protein every single day. For reference, 1 egg has just 6 grams of protein, so you'd need to eat almost 20 eggs to get 115 grams of protein. And if you're a senior, you need up to 50% more than that. That's because as we age, our bodies require more protein to preserve muscle mass, keep us healthy, reduce recovery time from illness, and improve overall quality of life. Clearly, getting enough protein is incredibly important. But how in the world do you hit that target protein count without spending a fortune or endless hours in the kitchen? Getting enough might seem impossible, but it's actually easy when you add Prime Protein's doctor-formulated, super clean, super smooth, incredibly easy to digest beef isolate protein powder to your diet. 1 scoop has 21 grams of protein, and with only a small handful of ingredients, you're getting only what you need. 100% carefully sourced real food, nothing else. No additives, no allergens, chemicals, fillers, or other junk ever. Plus, Prime Protein is incredibly delicious. I think it tastes like dessert, so you even have fun hitting your macros. Okay, if you are interested in getting more protein into your diet, head to today's show notes and I will give you a special link that can get you 15% off your first order of Prime Protein.